Your two films seem to me like a wonderful experience, like a travel in an unknown country. I would like to have some statements for you because it's not usual that a foreign director is so involved in an Italian confused and very strange situation like Naples is. And it's so unusual that a director tries to follow the path of the main taboo of our society like that is. So when I see your movies, I look at you like two Stalin and Livingstone discovering mysterious countries, mysterious places. I really wanted to ask you to have a short statement why you decided to approach these two matters, these two subjects, which are very, very difficult, I suppose, for a foreigner looking at a different country, and for a person looking in the eyes, something very difficult to describe like the death is.
For me, it's important that it all starts with cinema, and it starts with a film I have in my head. And I did a film in Napoli, all right, but it could be everywhere. It's about, the subject is about poverty and violence in basis, but it could be in any city. But when you start off with the idea that you want to make cinema, is that you can decide, okay, what elements do I need within this idea of doing a film which matters also on a cinematographic level, is that you can decide, okay, what can I find that is there but hasn't been shown in a way up till I decide to film it or to bring it together. Like you said before, for me editing is very important. I edit my films myself. And I almost see filmmaking as a puzzle. You know, you collect. You're a story collector. You're trying to interest you for people, for places, and you collect stories. And then again, you also interested in the medium itself, in cinema itself, because you want to do. You're not just telling a story. You're telling a story with film. And a lot of people within documentary use the medium as something which is something on the side. You know, oh yeah, well, we have to film it, so we put the camera on someone. But for me, cinema and film is a medium which has its own levels of making film work. And of course, you deal with real people and real life and real situations, but you should always wonder what is what I make or what I gather or what of stories you've seen has been shown before, and is it interesting what I film? Because a lot of documentaries are boring, you know, because people don't tend to think that what they film, is it new? Is it in a new context? All these matters are important to me. So the reason I did this film in Naples is not because I think I can tell everything about problems in Naples. No, I just think that the city was a great arena for me to tell an almost basic story about violence, poverty, and fate, and all these things. So I don't have a clear statement as a journalist, maybe why things happen in Naples the way they happen, because I'm not interested in that. I just want to make cinema. And I create an arena, and that's where I start, and from then on, film is becoming a puzzle for me. Which pieces do I need to tell a new story from a new angle?
A me piace partire da questa cosa più o meno quando avevo la vostra età, mi pare. Vidi ad un festival, non ricordo, forse al Festival di Torino, allora si chiamava Cinema Giovani Torino, vidi e conobbi, poi personalmente perché era lì, una ampia retrospettiva sul cinema di Robert Kramer, che probabilmente, essendo interessati a questo tipo di argomento, conoscete. E lui in un suo libro, ma anche poi nei suoi incontri, diceva sempre una cosa che allora mi colpì moltissimo. Io avevo appena finito la scuola di cinema e stavo cercando il modo di fare un film senza il sostegno della scuola del cinema, quindi cercando i soldi, cercando l'idea, cercando di capire come si poteva girare. Lui disse che la maggior parte delle persone pensa, quando va a vedere un film, che il film sia fatto dal regista per dire delle cose specifiche al pubblico. E lui sosteneva che per il suo lavoro era sempre stato fondamentale, attraverso il suo lavoro, capire lui stesso delle cose, non spiegarle al pubblico, ma capirle lui attraverso la pratica del lavoro. Questa cosa mi è molto rimasta impressa, e quando ho cominciato a capire come fare questo lavoro, ho sperimentato direttamente che, essendo poi questo lavoro un lavoro perlomeno da cineasta indipendente che si trova i finanziamenti, cerca poi un modo per girare, per montare, per arrivare, no, ad avere il suo film finito, essendo un lavoro che permea completamente la vita, mi sono reso conto che forse allora questo lavoro andava fatto in una direzione che desse senso alla mia vita.
I'd like to start by telling you something that happened to me. When I was more or less your age, I just finished film school and I used to go to festivals. I went to the festival in Turin, and I had the pleasure of meeting personally a director that I really liked, Albert Krummer, that you probably know because of your interest in this subject. And he was there with a retrospective, and through his books and the meetings, I was really surprised by one specific idea. I was trying to make my first movie, so I was looking for funds, I was looking for ways for the equipment, ways to shoot my first movie. And most people, he said, think that when a director makes a film, he wants to say something to the audience. That's why he makes a film. But actually what he was trying to do with his films was, through his work, looking for these things. So it's the opposite. He was trying to understand things through his own work. That is something that really surprised me. And when I started working by myself and really experimenting what making a film means for an independent filmmaker like me, so looking for funds and then shooting and editing and trying to get to the final product, I realized that the whole process was so big and involved my whole life that it better have some kind of sense and take some kind of direction. The idea came suddenly, I must say. I was shooting in an area in the Ligurian mountains for a few weeks, for about 20 days, in a place surrounded by nature. I was shooting some young people that were jumping into this lake from these rocks. And so I was interested in knowing why they would risk their life basically jumping from 15 meters into this lake. But then something happened. Because I was there, they were kind of annoyed and they started not to come anymore. So the first day I was like, okay, they will come. In the meantime, I'll just try filming something else. But what is left? What was left of this body jumping was actually surrounding me and was really, really interesting. And at first I didn't even understand why I was filming, if that was interesting or not. I was looking at like the movements of the water, at the wind, at the change in the lights on the rock. So I understood only a few months later why I found this so interesting. A few months later, my father was diagnosed with a very serious illness, and 6 months later he died. So I went back to this place a few times afterwards, and I started really understand why that was important and why that gave a sense to my film. So what I was trying to answer, even before I knew about my father's illness, was the question, what is my life? Starting from this shift that is where my film started to take shape, from this shift in my point of view. And all of my films are created like this. It's always my reflection on what I am living in that specific moment. But there is no specific representation, I mean direct representation of between what I feel and what is seen. So it's not because I have fallen in love that I show love, or that I have a child that I show fatherhood, or that a person is dying that I show death. But these are just the starting point for me to represent my look on reality that is changing. So any changes in my ways of looking at reality. And because I love cinema, I think that, that this is the right way of representing our own feelings. And what I do is I screen my feelings, and on the screen I find a kind of mirror where I see myself, but I see a person that is not exactly the way I expected it to be. So I see myself in a different way. This is what I think cinema should do in general, that is show the audience these questions in relation to the director, even if the director is not at all or has no direct or apparent relation with the character.